This is episode number 551 of the InnerFight podcast, the CrossFit Games 2019 wrap-up show. Welcome back to another edition of the show. Have you been over to smithstreetpaleo.com? Have you sent them an email, hello@smithstreetpaleo.com, to get involved in a meal plan and also get involved in their summer offer? If not, you should do so. You and your friends can take advantage of a summer promotion that they're running at the moment. Please do drop them an email, hello@smithstreetpaleo.com. Failing that, hop over to the website, smithstreetpaleo.com, and get involved. Over 100 recipes, and I've tried pretty much every one of them. They're pretty good, especially the sweet treats. Get involved in that, and thanks a lot to those guys for sponsoring the show. Into today's show, and we are just fresh off the back of the 2019 CrossFit Games. Did you guys follow it? How was it? Boz, she was there. We caught up with her before she went. We caught up with her 3 or 4 months ago, and we caught up with her just before she went, and she did us all proud. We even had people on the ground there. The Brooks family were there, plus a few others. I loved it. To be honest, it was very, very different this year, and I think we knew it was going to be. It was not, as we spoke about with Boz, we didn't really know too much about what was going on. She was told to be there 29th or 30th of July, and it would start, it'd go for the first few days of August. We didn't know what the format was. We didn't know what the events were. And to be honest, that to me is CrossFit. That's been like that since the start. If you go back to where the CrossFit Games started, a few guys rolled up at the ranch at Aromas, and they just did some workouts. Nobody knew what was coming. Nobody knew how to train. Nobody knew anything. So this year's CrossFit Games was pretty similar in that respect. Not much has been put out there. However, the athletes have changed. Their attitude to training has changed. Some of these guys are even full-time athletes now, or trying to make out a living being a full-time athlete. Some of them on limited budgets, but that's the evolution of the sport. And I think the excitement going into this year's games and the not knowing and the changes that we've spoken about over the last few months just added to what was going on and maybe made some athletes feel a little bit uneasy. It made some supporters maybe not want to travel, but in the end, 150 of the athletes were at the start line, as it were. The spectators were there in force. If you watched any of it on YouTube, you saw that the stadiums were packed. People were getting involved. And the feedback that we've got is that it was an excellent spectator experience. Qualification was a little bit different this year. As you guys know, if you've listened to the show, people qualified through the open and through sanctionals. But for the first time, there was a massive field. 150 people were on the start line, of which one of them was our own Boz. You guys did an awesome job in supporting her, buying the t-shirts that helped her a little bit financially get over there as well, and just wearing them. I actually not sure if I've got mine on today. No, I haven't got it on today, but I have been wearing it down here in Australia, and people are very happy to see me wearing a Boz t-shirt. So 150 people from all around the world, every single country that has a CrossFit gym was represented for the very first time, which I think is awesome. I've shared my opinion on this. I think it's amazing that developing countries that have just started with CrossFit, just got their first CrossFit box, have had the opportunity to have someone on the start line. This will do amazing things in the years to come to grow CrossFit, not only really as a sport. I don't think it'll grow massively as a sport in these developing countries, but it'll grow as a fitness solution. It'll grow as a community, and I think that's absolutely awesome. Now, if we look at the events, what was happening here is actually super interesting, because what we got is on the first event, which started on the 1st of August, Thursday, we got an event called, it was simply called First Cut. And they took the field from 150 athletes to 75 athletes. As we've known through the years, did you expect him to be any different this year? Dave Castro doesn't care what people think. He puts on an event that he thinks is going to find the fittest on earth. That's what he's trying to do. First Cut was brutal. 4 rounds for time, 400 meters run, 3 legless rope climbs, 7 squat snatches. Ladies' weight in kilos, 60. Men's weight in kilos, 180 or 85, I think it is, 185 pounds, time cap 20 minutes, absolutely brutal. 3 legless rope climbs straight away. 75 people are cut. So if you don't run very well, you're not super good at rope climbs, and you're not great at snatches, you shouldn't be at the CrossFit Games. Goodbye. That was your year done. You've worked super, and it's brutal. It's really tough, but it's the same as I think what we see in the Olympics is that people make the qualifying times for an Olympic event. They get to the first day, the first heat, and they don't make the cut, and they go home. Those people have worked for 4 years. These people only work for a year, or they work for a year every year, and it might have taken them 4 years to get there, but they're going to get another chance in a year. Nothing wrong with that. People have been talking. There's been talk on social media, various comments that the cuts were brutal. I don't think so at all. To be totally honest with you, I think it was pretty cool how on the first day, first event, half the field are cut. Second event, second cut. Interestingly, running in the first one, rowing in the second one. Shorter event, 10-minute time cap, 800-meter row, 66 kettlebell jerks, and then 132-foot handstand walk. If you're not good at these things, if you don't have that engine to row, you can't do those high volume of jerks and then jump into a high skill movement, that handstand walk. You're not one of the best in the world. And that's what they did. They just cut off another 25 athletes. So at the end of day one, we've seen a cut of 100 athletes. Awesome. In my opinion, absolutely brilliant. I think what we saw on the next day, Friday, probably caught a few people off guard as well. In this first event, another 10 athletes were going to get cut. We're now down to 40 after they made them do a 6K, what they've called a ruck run. And every 1.5K, they increased the pack from 20 pounds to 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and 50 pounds. And those of you that are training in a fight this week, watch out for this one in some shape or form. You heard it here first. If you listen to the podcast, you get more information. It's that simple. We are doing a games week this week after testing week last week. Tested you out. Now it's a little bit of fun. Through games week, you might see a variation of the ruck run. An extra 10 athletes are cut. Then we went into something really fast, which again has, you could argue, for some of them on the return, it wasn't running, but 172-foot sled push. It was a very light sled. I think it had one 20-kilo plate on it for men plus the 20-kilo sled, so 40 kilos. For girls, it didn't even have a weight plate on it at all. Sled push, bar muscle ups, sled push back. 6 minutes. It was a sprint. Super fast. That's why it's called sprint couplet. Again, 10 more athletes go. So we're now 4 events in, and we've gone from 150 athletes down to 30. I think it's absolutely awesome. There must have been a lot of excitement there. There was then more posts on social media that people got cut. Mary comes next. It's a benchmark CrossFit workout. So those people that are complaining it's not really CrossFit, well, here comes a CrossFit workout. 20-minute AMRAP, 5 handstand push-ups, 10 pistols, 15 pull-ups. And then another 10 athletes go. So we're down to 20 athletes after just 2 days. Normally, we'd have around 40 to 60 athletes that would be in the games for the whole week or weekend, which is normally a 4-day event. So the event time has stayed the same. We've got 4 days of competition. Normally, it would start on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We saw it start Thursday. So they've gone back to back for 4 days. But by the Saturday, by the weekend, we're already down to 20 athletes. The next part actually saw a load of what we'd think were some of the top athletes get cut. And this is where I've actually read more about the cuts than anywhere else. And I'm just waiting to get the founder of Morning Chalk Up, who you guys might remember earlier in the year. They were the ones that released a lot of the information about the changes in CrossFit and the way that it was all going to change, as opposed to CrossFit themselves releasing that. He hopefully will be on the show with us in the next few weeks to talk more about that. But he posted over on Morning Chalk Up, if I can just find it here for you guys, some of the comments that came from the athletes. Björgvin Carl Gudmundsson, who's been up there for a long time, said, "It's brutal that they're cutting down to 10 now. First event on Saturday. That's fucked. And to make it on a sprint event, so much can go wrong. He ended up third, and he was complaining. We also heard a comment from James Newbury, the Australian guy who was actually in the top 10, said he thought it could have been done different. Annie Thorisdottir spoke up. She said something. Patrick Vellner spoke up. He said it should be the top 20 until the end of Saturday. However, guys, I think what we really should be taking note of here is that it is what it is. And all of these people can complain. All of these people can put different things out on their social media. But the games is the games. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to find the fittest on earth. I'm going to come to who was the fittest on earth a little bit later. Let's just finish with the events. Saturday, they had the sprint. This was brutal. It was like an eliminator. Amazing to watch, but it was the sprint, pretty much the length of the field, a little bit in and outs as well. And then we cut to 10 athletes. Some big names went out. Sam Briggs in the ladies. She's won this event before. She's won the CrossFit Games. She's always been up there. She's gone. There's a load of them that are gone. And we're now down to the 10 fittest athletes based on the events that we've seen. We've seen 6 events so far. Someone put out, we've seen 6 events and only 1 barbell. This is not CrossFit. Well, Dave Castro decided that this is CrossFit. This is the way to test these guys. The rest of the weekend gave us a nice mix of what people would maybe think is more traditional CrossFit. We had the split, triplet, pegboards, double unders, this kind of stuff, then into a 1 rep max clean, which was incredible viewing. We then had another endurance event on the Sunday morning, a swim paddle, swim-a-K, paddle-a-K, very interesting event, and tested them in swimming. So we've had them tested in running, carrying things, speed work, CrossFit or traditional CrossFit. Now we're testing in swimming. And then the last 2 events, you would probably say this is stock standard CrossFit. Ringer 1 and 2, which was air bike, toes to rings for a change. Very interesting one. We've never seen that in the games before. And Ringer 2, burpees and overhead squats. Again, the overhead squats at a very decent weight. 40 kilos or 42 kilos for girls, just over 60 kilos, 135 pounds for guys. A really good test. These were really fast workouts, time caps of 7 and 5 minutes. So sprints again. And then the last workout of the day, we saw 3 big benchmarks. Grace, 30 clean and jerks, 30 muscle ups and 30 snatches. Did you see Tia Toomey's time? Around 8 minutes. Can't remember off my head what Matt Fraser's time was. The time cap for this is 12 minutes. Anyone that's done Grace or Isabel would know. You can't even dream about doing the muscle ups. But what it did, the top athletes finished in the time cap, and the top athletes are the best athletes in the world. Going to those top athletes and the results for the 4th year running, Matt Fraser was crowned the fittest man on earth. He won the CrossFit Games. Is it a good test of fitness? Was it done right? You can argue all you want. This guy's the fittest. The best people are going to prevail. The best and fittest athletes in the world are going to be good at everything. They're going to be able to run. They're going to be good at gymnastics. They're going to be good at barbell work. So Fraser won again, 4th. Actually equaled Rich Fronning's record. I'll talk about that in a second. Noah Olsen, we saw 2nd. And as I said earlier, Björgvin Gudmundsson was 3rd. He's been on the podium before. One of the best athletes in the world. Still one of the best athletes in the world. No matter what the events are, he still seems to be able to produce a good result. On the women's side, we saw Tia Toomey. She has now won 3 titles, and she's the only woman to have won 3 titles, and she's won them the last 3 years. The games over the last 3 years has been incredibly different. She's still won. She's still the best? Yes. Is it a fair test of fitness? It has to be. Absolutely. Kristen Holte was 2nd, and local girl from Abu Dhabi down the road, who we've spoken about a lot before, Jamie Green. Quite exciting because she went from 3rd to 4th on the last day, on the penultimate event, and then on that last event, she actually absolutely destroyed it. I think she came in 2nd, which flipped her back up, and she finished 3rd. It's great to see Jamie. She was 11th last year. She'd done very well in the games before with the Yas team, and now she's on the podium in 3rd place. Interesting to note as well, in the team division, CrossFit Mayhem, which is Rich Fronning's gym, Rich Fronning in it, took their 4th straight win as well. So super interesting. What was also interesting, and if you guys have time, maybe hop over and watch it, the press conference afterwards, there's lots of comparison coming between Matt Fraser and Rich Fronning. Matt Fraser has won 4 CrossFit Games titles. Rich Fronning has won 4 CrossFit Games titles. So they'll be compared a lot. And Fraser actually really shut the media down and basically told them to stop talking about a comparison. He's Matt Fraser, the other one's Rich Fronning, and get on with life. It was quite an interesting one. Our own Boz, to go back to her, she was cut basically on the 2nd day when that cut was down to 40 athletes. She can be very proud. She is the 46th or 47th fittest woman in the world. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. And she knew it as well. It was the ruck run, and she got cut after the ruck run. She could have done well on the next part, but who would know? She's got to come back. She's got to figure out what she's got to do to get better next year. Should it be more running? Should it be more cardio-based stuff? You never really know in CrossFit. They could totally flip things around. The first cut could be next year. Could be that workout that they did at the end, the clean and jerks, the muscle ups, and the snatches. Why not? It's going to be a true test of fitness. And I think that's what's important. And people might complain. People might say that the format was not right, but the format is what it is. They knew of the cut system before they went into it. Maybe people didn't know how aggressive it would be. But when you're taking 150 people from around the world, and by 4 days later, 9-10 events later, Sunday evening, you need to deliver the best in the world. You have to have a system. And I think the way that CrossFit did it this year is absolutely brilliant. I also know that from a spectator point of view, and I've got some text here that someone sent to me where they said the cuts have been savage, but as far as we're concerned, the purpose of the competition is to find the fittest in the world by Sunday night. If you're not in the top 10 at Saturday afternoon, you're not going to be on the podium. Very well said. We think the athletes have got to get away from the idea it's all a big ego stroke and Instagram opportunity, and realize if they want to win, they have to be better. That's the bottom line. Athletes can complain, athletes can give feedback, people can give feedback. CrossFit have a way of finding the fittest on earth. And to be honest, I think this year, I truly believe it was a great competition. There were great events. And did they find the fittest? I think they probably did. Matt Fraser won by a mile. It was a little bit in the balance there for a while where people were getting close to him, but he still, in the end, he won by a lot, as did Tia Toomey. The top names are still up there. Noah Olsen's still up there. Goodmanson's still up there. Kristen Holte is a name that we're seeing a lot more. Jamie Green was 11th last year, goes up to 3rd this year. Maybe the other guys are not training in the right way. Maybe these guys have got it right. Who knows the real answers? That was a great CrossFit Games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and are looking forward to the next one, which the Open actually starts September, October time. Remember, we've got 2 Opens this year, so we'll now start for the Open for the 2020 Games. There'll be a lot of backlash, I'm sure. There'll be a lot of comments. There'll be a lot of things. We even saw Sam Briggs and a few other girls doing a triathlon on the Sunday, as apparently they weren't even tired enough. They hopped in a local triathlon because they trained the whole year and they were still fit and still fresh, but just not good enough for the CrossFit Games. Maybe triathlon's going to be a sport for them in the future. I think it was a great test. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and also hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll see how it goes and how CrossFit handles it in the coming months. But I'm sure, as always, and as CrossFit says, the unknown and the unknowable. Constantly varied, high intensity, functional movements. That's what we saw all weekend. That's my wrap up of the 2019 CrossFit Games. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Catch you next time.